If you're someone who's probably 6'6" or taller and with a semi-athletic build, people will always assume that you're a basketball player. And that's for good reason. The average height in the NBA for like the last 30 years has been 6'5". Taller players tend to have longer limbs. They tend to be closer to the basket, making scoring easier, and it also makes for better defenders. But throughout the evolution of basketball, we've seen the taller players change. We used to have 7-footers who play with their back to the basket. They would tend to use their power like Shaq, put you inside the basket for buckets. We had players who would use their length and finesse, create unguardable shots. We had the Kareem post hook. We had the Dirk fade. These were shots viewed as unstoppable due to how tall these players were. And as time progressed, we ended up seeing a transformation among these tall players. There was no more playing with their back to the basket. They were starting to become more athletic, move more like guards. These were guys viewed as such anomalies in the sport of basketball. They were tall and athletic. They were built more like centers and power forwards of the past, but they could move and handle the ball like the shorter guards. But the thing is, what if something that was once rare becomes common? It's no longer this extremely tall guy who can have the handle of a guard. There's at least 5 to 6 guys in the NBA right now who can do that. But when we take a look at the NBA, there has only ever been one player to be short. And I don't mean just short for an NBA player, like a guy who's 6 foot to 6'2". I mean short as in shorter than the average height, which is 5'9" in America. And think about it. If you've ever been around basketball players, how many times have you heard somebody who's shorter playing basketball, like 5'5" or 5'6", claim that if they were taller, they would be in the NBA? These short guys swear that the only limiting factor is height, and yet somehow there is one 5'3" man who not only played in the NBA but competed for 14 seasons. Now, I'm not looking to have a discussion about who is the better player, Muggsy Bogues or these taller guys, because obviously being taller is going to help you. We got players in the NBA right now whose sole skill is just being tall. Look at Rudy Gobert, Boban. These are just tall guys. Boban played in the NBA for 9 years and averaged less points than Muggsy Bogues for his career. But the reality is, it is way less common for a shorter guy to make it to the NBA than it is for a guy who's extremely tall who just happens to be able to shoot threes. Muggsy Bogues retired in 2001, and since then, we have only had one other player who was even remotely close to his height, and that was Earl Boykins. And the thing is, he's 5'5", and if you don't think 2 inches makes a difference, well, just ask your girlfriend. Anyways, let's go back and take a look at the beginning and how Muggsy Bogues got to the NBA to even begin with. He played at Wake Forest for 4 years, and it wouldn't be until his senior year where he would really break out and separate himself and establish himself as a guy who could play at the next level. At 5'3", Muggsy Bogues averaged just under 15 points, 2.4 steals, 9.5 assists, while shooting 50% from the field, 44% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. Those averages would be good enough to get him drafted in the lottery with the 12th pick by the Charlotte Hornets. And you know, once he got to the NBA, I'm not going to gas it like he was something he wasn't. He played really decent. He was a role player, and there would be 3 times in his career where he would average double figures. He even had a season where he averaged a double-double. Muggsy was even surprisingly a pretty decent defender. He never was named to any all-defensive teams, but he did get votes. He also got the opportunity to play in the playoff 5 different seasons in a total of 17 games. Unfortunately, never would win a championship, but I would say that being a 5'3" NBA player, finding a way to carve out a role for yourself and playing for 14 seasons is extremely impressive. It's something that nobody else in the history of the NBA could ever claim that they're done, and because of this, that's why I would say Muggsy is the real unicorn.